Welcome to Mindfully Integrative Podcast with your host, Dr. Damaris G. Mindfully Integrative is a podcast discussing ways toward mindfully incorporating integrative health into our lives. This podcast will have informative resources, fun topics, interviews, and discussions relatable for today with a true mindful perspective in a mind-body holistic life approach.
Hi, how are you? This is Dr. Damaris G. And welcome to the Mindfully Integrated podcast. So today I'm actually discussing immunity, and this discussion is actually about immunity passports and how it'll help you or will it hinder you with your travel. So recently, I'm not fully getting into all aspects of COVID conversation, but I found it so interesting how they're thinking about doing an immunity passport for COVID-19, and you wouldn't be able to travel unless you had shown immunity or vaccination of this virus. And so I said, you know what, let me go to the research and let me go see what is available and out there about this topic. So I went to the Journal of Travel Medicine, and it's a very recent article within the past year, and it discusses the travel and immunity certificate, and will it help the traveler, will it not, and current understandings of specifically COVID antibodies. And if you have the antibodies and you're showing that you have them, will that state that you have immunity? Now, let's go back to what it is to have the antibodies within the body. So, in a very minimalistic way of saying is you are exposed to a virus, or you are given a vaccine that may help build up your immunity. And then what happens is you get these markers, like called antigens, and then they build up into antibodies to then have these antibody titers within to fight off an infection. So in this case, we're saying COVID. And when you do blood work, those antibodies come up in like 3 different ways. They call them IgA, IgM, IgG. IgA is the initial, IgM is the second initial wave, and then IgG is the long-lasting antibodies. So when they're doing the blood work, they're hoping that these passport certificates will show that these individuals will have these IgG antibodies, whether it's from being vaccinated or whether been previously exposed. Now, the debate is, I'm not here to debate good or bad on vaccine. I'm not any of that conversation. Just more of, will the person be immune, and do you know for sure? And this goes for any illness, whether, so it's kind of a little difficult to always state that they're 100% immune from something. So there's that part where you wonder, what is the amount of quarantine for someone? Like in this case, in COVID, they were started at 14 days, and they went to 10 days, and they went to 7 days, depending upon symptoms and exposure. What if it's the flu or pneumonia or other types of aspects, right? So the issue is not that your body can't build up the immunity. The concern is, how much immunity do you have? And are you still susceptible to another strain of something? And of course, this article states that specifically when a person that has the antibodies, they have a neutralizing amount. They believe that it's been at least 5 weeks, and then they've been quarantined. Overall, to date, it's saying that clinically, most people should be asymptomatic. They should have been quarantined for X amount of days, and then they should be able to travel. Now, we hope that this is the truth. Like, this comes out a little bit more advanced, because they're saying that when, there was a huge spike, that we needed to be a little bit more mindful. And And these cards were not exactly the best option. Now that more people have either been exposed or had been vaccinated, the herd immunity and overall care for, we are hoping that these cards will give that certificate of kind of a go pass. I would say that, you still don't fully know. I would love to be the one and give you positive statements and say that in immunity passports, they're a good thing. It's good to know that someone has some sort of immunity response, but there is individuals that don't. Now, I'm going to give you a for example. Like, I've had a number of patients that have had hepatitis B or have had the vaccine of hepatitis B, and they've actually not had the immunity. And their body did not show antibodies or immunity. So, does that mean that person will never be able to travel because they were exposed to Hep B or they have had the vaccine and not immune? So, you see where these kind of loopholes in the body or for an individual could mean something different. That for some reason, I find that, our immune system is such a fascinating system. And it's like talking about the whole health and talking about integrative health, it's all interconnected. So to look at it just in one aspect it's insane, right? You have to really look at so many aspects of how a person is and what they're doing. And so I think that the card itself may not give us the perfect example of an innate immunity. There's really a lot more involved in your immune system. You really need to look at lifestyle management, your nutritional diet needs, because this all will still reflect your immune response. And that still can also reflect your immunity to any sort of disease or virus. Anything that you can think of, because your immunity and your it has direct relation to how your GI tract is, how your overall like other autoimmune diseases you might have, neurogenetic things, chronic fatigue. There's so many additional aspects that can be involved that I'm a big fan of trying to bring foods and supplements and helping the microbiome and working in a very holistic approach and trying to fix your lifestyle and your practices to strengthen your overall well-being. And that may seem kind of complicated, but when you really try to balance the inflammatory response within the body, you try to decrease the stress within the body, you look into supplements or nutritional foods that will bring up your antioxidants and your nutrient levels, you look at the overall balancing of your gut microbiome, increase the fiber and proper hydration. Different parts will help decrease those inflammatory responses, would then help decrease these autoimmune responses, which then could help increase better immunity within. And these cards would actually be more valid and less of a percentage of unknown. So that's kind of just my little tidbit for today. Are those passports a good idea? That's your own personal choice. It may happen. People may have to show that at some point. We had to show them when we were in school to get into schools, and good or bad. I have no comment either way, but that's my info for today. So thanks for joining in. I'll put in the link to the 2 articles that I was reading on this, and also a link on 2 of the main integrative health and functional medicine organization. You guys have a great day. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will talk with you soon. Make sure that you have a mindful way each and every day. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Mindfully Integrative with Dr. Damaris G. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If you enjoyed our show, support us by leaving a mindful review on Apple Podcast or your favorite streaming site. If you would like to be a guest of our show or interview, email us at info@damarismaria.com. If you want to learn more about the resources mentioned in the podcast, you can find those in the show notes. To connect mindfully with Dr. Damaris G, reach her at www.damarismaria.com or connect via social media links. We appreciate your time connecting here with us. May your strength and peace within bring you more balance every day. Namaste.